hook up the autopilot. May not be using it right away, but I want it ready to go. So. Alright, at least 2 maps are working. Start the motor. Alright, let's see if I can get an anchor up. Keep going. Oh, it's free to get wet. Alright, try to sneak out through this harbor. Whoops, didn't do the most important thing there. Alright, let's try it again. Give me the best. Try to go across the channel behind this island. There's a rock on the left hand side, so we'll favor the right of it. I'm going to take the windshield, put the windshield up so I can see better. Maybe. Maybe too much. Try one more time. Here's the throttle. Possible anchorage too. As long as they didn't have west winds. It looks pretty shallow. It's only 5-6 feet. Rocks, pretty rocky area. This whole island group full of rocks. Along, you can see ahead of me there in that island, there's a spike of rocks coming out from it, and that probably extends quite a ways. It's a little deeper here, 7 feet. Hug to the middle and then take it left here just to go out around that spit. I'm not going to cut the corner between there and the land, that probably extends right over to the land, to the island. 7.7 feet. I hope this is not foolish to go up into this lake. Part of it I'm thinking is I'd like to get into a place that's a little bit warmer to swim if possible. Right now it's about 55 degrees, way too cool for me to swim. Well, I'm leaning float out here, so I think there's a lot. Not to go that way. I changed my mind. There's a float. Must not be a good spot to go. Such a gull. I can't tell. It looks like a float. It's a float. So there's got to be a rock. 12 feet here. Kind of a dreary day. Give it a wide berth. None of these charts that I'm using treacherous. None of them. You know, without depth sounding, it's really tough to know where to go. Alright, you gotta see here, this big stem, probably safe. I don't know it's coming up. Well, maybe I went over 9 feet. Up to about 10 feet. There's a fishing boat coming out. So we'll see which way he goes. They're starting pretty late, almost 11 o'clock. Rods and reels. Looks like they're coming this way. Well, I wonder if they're going the same place on it. Look like it. Howdy. Good. So, you guys are from Minnesota, you said? I'm White Bear Lake. I can see you're serious about your... I'm not... I'm doing a little fishing, but I'm mostly just exploring. I like to come up in... Pardon? First time. I usually do a lot on the Canadian side, but I'm just going to go over and see if I can get up into that lake. The guy told me I thought I could get in there, but... Is it? Yeah, well, if I look at it, it doesn't looks too hairy, I won't go. I tried to come over through your where you were anchored there, or where you're tied up, but hit a rock there and then backed out. I don't know if you can go through there, can you? Yeah, you maybe could find a spot, but I just got... It just didn't look like it was worth it. So. All right. How you guys been doing fishing? Okay. Well, enjoy. Thank you. Bye now. People from Minnesota, Minneapolis. So, see if I can get up into the lake here. What they had to say wasn't encouraging. As they said, pretty rocky. I'm not sure if it's worthwhile or not. Temperature's down to 49 now on the water. Turn backwards the whole time. Let it snow. on the south side of Shakespeare. Made it unpleasant. Knocked a bunch of stuff off the shelves. All right, we got 50, over 100 feet, I guess, 108 feet. And anchorage should be right around the corner here. I'll keep the autopilot on for a little longer. Autopilot on that particular tack seemed to be working pretty good, even in cross seas. I think the problem is when you're going upwind, there's so much sail area on this boat with the slab sides, and the wind catches it and moves it back and forth. It has a hard time fighting that. Then it oversteers. All right, I'm hoping I can get in from the south side. There is some rocks there, but it's supposed to be a campsite in here too. I don't know where it is, but probably should start steering by hand anyway. Getting pretty close, so. Good evening, folks. I'm here in a little anchorage here that's really quiet. You can hear the birds singing in the background, and there's not a soul around. I'm pleased with that. There is a campground that I could have gone into, probably should have, because it's a very nice campground. There's a picnic table and everything there. It looks, and there was a nice beach to tie up to, but it's on the other side, which is more open and exposed if the wind came up in the middle of the night in the wrong direction. I decided not to go in there. It was a rough day coming down here. Fog, not really fog, it was haze, and some early mist in the morning. It just was very dreary until about, middle of the afternoon. And we've made the best of it, and had a nice steak tenderloin dinner tonight with potatoes, salad and rolls, and wine. And the sun has came through a little bit this afternoon, enough that I actually took the drone up and flew it off the bow again. For some reason, I flew yesterday and had 2 flights where the focus was completely off, and I don't understand why. The third flight, it worked fine. So, or maybe it was the second flight, I can't remember. The focus was fine then. And today I flew and it was fine. So some anomaly in the drone, that's the way it is. This camera equipment continues to make me pull my hair out, what little I have. Gets me frustrated sometimes because things just don't work like they should. And actually, this spring when I was on the St. Croix River, they worked pretty well. I didn't really have much trouble other than my own failures of not charging batteries and making sure that memory cards weren't too full. My own fault, not the camera's fault. So, but this trip I've been having more trouble with connections with the microphones and also with the application so that I can monitor what each camera is looking at. This morning I struggled and finally gave up because it just wasn't working. And as it was, then I forgot to hook up the microphone correctly on the Osmo, so I probably didn't get sound there that's very good. Earlier today I ran into some folks from Minnesota. They came over and deliberately wanted to talk to me, so I stopped the boat and conversed with them a little bit, and they're from Minneapolis, and gave me some advice about going up. I was heading for Ray Lake. One of the guys that helped me get my permit at the harbor suggested that I go up in the Ray Lake. It was he thought I could do it with this boat. I talked to these guys this morning, and they weren't quite as enthusiastic. They said the entrance is full of rocks. They went up there with a 16-foot Lund with a small outboard on it, but I think they were hesitant to say that I could get up there. And sure enough, when I got to the entrance to the river there, it was full of rocks. I nosed in there for a little bit until I hit a rock, and then backed away. I just said it wasn't worth the trouble to try to get through there. If you play around there, I probably could have found depth to get through, but they said further up there was deadheads and logs and stuff across the river, which also makes trouble. So the long and the short of it is it just didn't seem worthwhile. Anyway, this afternoon I actually, after dinner, threw a line out a couple times and to see if I could maybe get a bite. But after 15 or I don't know how many casts I made, at least 15 casts. No luck, and of course the first time I cast it, I got a big mess and had to cut about 20 feet of line off and clean it up because somehow it got wound around the axle of the spinner, and I don't know how it did that, but it did. So after I cleaned it up, I did several casts, but no luck. And then I flew the drone for one flight, just to try to get some pictures around here. Got a little scare coming back in. It was running out of battery and yelling at me that things were going to go down south in a hurry. So I quick landed it, but it's always a juggling act to try to do that because I've got to control it with one hand and catch it with the other hand. It's a real coordination exercise, and fortunately the boat isn't moving. If it's moving, it would be even worse, but I was able to recover it, and no crashes yet. I can see the potential for it. It got close today, within 3 feet of hitting to the top of the boat, but I was able to. In fact, I thought about even landing on the top of the boat just because it was getting out of my reach. But I thought, nah, just keep working with it, and I eventually caught a hold of it, and it worked out. Otherwise, I'll just stay here one night. It's tempting to go over there and use that campsite since it looks really nice. The winds are going to be calm relatively tomorrow, and even though it's going to be raining, I decided that I should probably go take advantage of the winds because, I'm not always going to have winds that are favorable. So I figure when they are favorable, I need to go. We'll do that tomorrow, or at least that's the tentative plan. I'm not in a big hurry. I was supposed to bake coffee cake this morning, but decided not to do that. Wanted to get a little earlier start, and I was late anyway because the time zone change follows me up here, and I've been sleeping in later than I probably should be, given the light. Normally I would get up maybe at 6 o'clock or something, but it's been 7 o'clock here lately. I slept pretty good last night, and trip's going okay. The countryside is not near as favorable to tying up ashore as other places I've gone. It's just a lot tougher to find a spot to pull in. The trees tend to go right down to the shore, and then when you get to the shore, it's pretty gnarly with either rocks or trees, so it's not been that favorable. Anyway, that's enough for now. Should tell you that I've been decided to read the last in the collected works of Gray Owl. I've read the first two, The Men of the Last Frontier, I think on my Superior trip last summer. And then Pilgrims of the Wild I read when I was up at Temagami. And on this trip I'm going to read the last one in the series of Sajo and the Beaver People. That's the third in the trilogy that's in this book. It's 3 complete and unabridged Canadian classics, they call it. So, by Gray Owl. I highly recommend it, especially that second one I thought was really good, Pilgrims of the Wild. Mosquitoes are starting to come out, so I don't know how much longer I can stay out here. You folks have a good evening, and we'll talk to you another time.